Good morning. Welcome. Have you ever avoided a pattern or a specific quilt block? Maybe it just looks a little difficult or beyond your skills, or maybe you think you don't have enough time to work on that particular block or style. Or have you avoided it because you get in your comfort zone? I have a comfort zone. I like my squares, I like my rectangles. They work up quickly, and you can arrange them in different ways. But there is a particular pattern that I have to confess that I've never done. Flying geese. I have never made a flying geese pattern, ever, in 23 years. Confession. And there are some quilters who do the flying geese all the time. I've never done one. So, last night, I said, okay, let me do a practice piece. And since I had these 3 fabrics left over from my last video, where I did Rail Fence to the Rescue, I decided to go ahead and do a sample piece. So what I did was I cut my yellow strips 3.5 inches, and then I subcut them into 6.5 inches so that each rectangle is 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches. And then I cut the squares at 3.5 inches cut. And then I drew a line down the middle of each of my squares, because my squares, my print is my background and my yellow is the geese. And then I laid my block on one side and I stitched along the line. Then I stitched another line to make a little tiny half square triangle so that there's no waste. And then I trimmed it, and then I ironed it back. And then I did the same to the opposite side. Now the trick is you gotta have your measurements on your squares really accurate so that you have that 1/4 inch seam allowance right here. So that when I sew these flying geese units together, I maintain the point. And when I measure this after I completed it, it measured exactly 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches, which was the original cut of the yellow. So there's also another method called no waste flying geese. Now that method, although there are many tutorials out there about how to measure, how to sew, how to cut, I'm really intimidated by that one. So I'm doing this method because I can wrap my brain around it. So last night, up at 2:30, couldn't sleep. And I was awake enough where I knew that if I sewed, I wouldn't hurt myself. If I'm up in the middle of the night and I'm really like dragging, like I'm not fully awake, I will not sew because I don't want to potentially end up in the emergency room. But I was wide awake. And I don't know about you, but when you can't sleep, sew. So that's what I did. And guess what? I'm making more of these. I don't know if I'm going to continue with this fabric. This was a practice piece, or if I'm going to go in my stash and pull some more fabric. But there you have it. Confessions of a Quilter. I've never done a flying geese. Now I am. So when you see me again, I'm going to have an update on part 2 of the Flying Geese quilt. Not sure if I'm going to continue with these colors or choose other colors for my stash. But there you go. Confessions of a Quilter. I've never done a Flying Geese. Well, that ends today. My name's Angela Davis, and I'm the 4am Quilter. Have a great day.